What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Boozer here. Thanks for stopping by. Hopefully, you guys have a good start to your work week so far. In today's video, we got a little bit of Plarium announcements here in regards to some events that are happening in the next 2 days. Now, going into the current events right now, we do see that there is going to be a Soul Chase tournament. We did predict that this was going to happen yesterday. In our video, what is surprising is that they put the Prism Crystal not in the Soul Chase tournament. It's not a deal breaker or anything, but that's a little bit surprising. They did put the Prism Crystal in this specific Fire Knight turn attack. It's going to be faction specific. Now, I don't really like the fact that there's two kind of conditions here. First of all, it's turn attack. Second of all, it's a faction only. This could potentially be pretty difficult. I don't think there's going to be super efficient teams out there. I mean, unless maybe you're running like multiple newts. Or like a dwarf only team, I could see being relatively fast. So this one you want to do as high difficulty as you can to get more points from your turns. And then obviously you need a very, very powerful team to reduce your amount of turns so you get more points. So I guess they put a higher, higher level reward in this event. But yeah, it's going to be a pretty hard one. Maybe we can do lower levels with like cold hearts and stuff and dark elves. That might be an option. But yeah, let's jump into these little bit of announcements here. So I'm going to break it down into two separate parts. We will have two separate progressive events that are happening on two separate days. Keep in mind, each event is 24 hours. So this is going to be the first day's event on July 21st. There's going to be a progressive event for these champions. For the non-void champions, it's about a 5% chance. And for the void champions, it's about a 15% chance to get the champion of your choice. A couple of new champions here for us to chase. We got Halgut, the Hollow Sights. He's going to be one of the newer champions here, recently released for the Org faction. Support champion, let's go over his kit here real quick. He's got an A1 decrease, a crit rate decrease, crit damage. The crit damage is only conditional if you're already under Hex, not particularly strong A1. The A2 here on a 3-turn cooldown is an AoE attack with a 100% chance to decrease the duration of all buffs by 2 turns. That's pretty nice. And it also has a 100% chance of placing block buffs and a Hex on all enemies for 2 turns. The Hex cannot be removed, stolen, or transferred. Now, this is a pretty good ability. It's kind of similar to like Mighty Uko, but it's way better than Mighty Uko because Mighty Uko's AoE attack is on a 4-turn cooldown and is conditional on the enemy having no buffs before Uko can land debuffs. In this case, this ability is on a 3-turn cooldown and they will be landing the block buffs and Hex regardless if they have buffs remaining or not. So it's significantly better than Mighty Uko's ability, but it's very similar. So that's pretty solid. The A3 here is going to be a team revive with revive on death and a shield on all allies afterwards, which is pretty solid. It's a good team revive. And then the passive here, whenever an ally is revived by a revive on death, fills that champion's turn meter by 50%. Whenever an enemy under Hex is killed, decreases the turn meter of all enemies by 25%. That's pretty big. Enemies under Hex will have their crit rate decreased by 20%. It's pretty nice. And it doesn't say it needs to be applied by him, which is really good. Speed in Arena by 28%. Now, in Arena, this ability could be okay. If you have like a deflection set, for example, you can take away a couple stacks of total guard. Team revive for orcs, I mean, pretty good. Not really swimming in team revives. I guess Raka is one, but she's also a void legendary. So I think he's pretty decent. He's pretty decent, especially this A2 here. And then the revive is very solid. Would have liked to see all battles aura here instead of arena battles, but decent champion. Let's move down the list here. We got Glorious Palace. Now, this champion is definitely much better than decent, in my opinion. One of the best, I would say, support champions that are non-void, non-mythical, I would say. The only real knock I have against this champion is maybe the aura. The aura is a little bit on the weak side. Ally resistance by 50. It's just really weak. But yeah, let's go over the kit here real quick. It's got an A1. Offensive A1 also brings in a random ally from the Argonite faction. So you guys think about Lady Mikage. Lady Mikage is like the engine for a lot of teams in terms of bringing the DPS, which can be like, Toshiro or Ninja. So Palace can do something similar with the Argonite faction. Argonite's a relatively new faction, so it's not filled out yet. Also heals the allies by 10% of this champion's max HP. She has good base HP pool, so it's going to be a decent size heal. The A2 here on a 3-turn cooldown is a full team cleanse with the block debuffs and a fervor. Fervor increases your damage while also you take more damage, but it's generally a pretty favorable buff. Pretty crazy, like kind of team cleanse here on a 3-turn cooldown. And then lastly, she does bring a team revive here on a 4-turn cooldown with a strengthen and increased speed. Very, very nice. Too bad you can't use the strengthen and increased speed when there are no champions dead. That would have been the icing on the cake, I think. And then her passive also extremely good. Fills the turn meter of all allies by 15% at the end of this champion's turn. So if she takes a turn, 15% turn meter, right? Whenever ally receives a debuff, she's going to place a shield on them. Really nice passive, right? Lots of value from her. Like I said, the weakest part of her kit is probably her aura. And honestly, you can kind of look beyond it. She is a 109 base speed, so very, very powerful champion. Very good support. Up next, we have Noldula, the Gloaming from the Dark Elves, one of the earlier fusions from this year. She's a very decent champion. She kind of fits into this whole Dark Elves kind of theme. It's kind of like a mix of champions here, right? Like she has an AOE enemy strip with the decreased defense. Dark Elves not really short of champions that can that do this kind of ability, like remove buffs, placing decreased defense, or weaken, something along those lines. Now, her A1 is actually very, very unique and powerful. It's a 75% chance to place Enfeeble for 2 turns. Enfeeble is a really, really strong debuff. And it's a 2-turn debuff. So this is really crippling. So if you want to like neutralize an enemy, this is really good ability. And it also places weaken as well. So it gives your team a little bit of a damage boost. She does bring a team revive also on a 4-turn cooldown, places a shield on them afterwards. Her passive here makes turn meter effects a little bit less effective. And she does have a partner bonus here with Solinar, but Solinar is so strong that Solinar does not need her to be extra effective. She does bring accuracy in all battles, and she does require accuracy to land some of her debuffs. So not a bad champion overall, but it seems like there's many champions, at least in this faction, that can kind of do it. Like I'm thinking like Madame Cirrus can do it. I'm thinking like Rayanne can do it. And these are like epic level champions here. She does bring the team revive, which is very useful. All right, after that, we got Freya from the Barbarian faction. Freya, incredible champion here. She was a Deck of Fate guaranteed champion, I think 2 summers ago now. Where is she? I know she's here. Oh, okay, sorry, she's staring right at me, but really, really strong champion. 110 base speed here. So you can build her the fastest champion if you want. She does come in with this really nice, turn meter boost here, 20%, and she brings a cleanse with a block debuff. This is one of the best in the business, in my opinion. Very versatile, make her really fast. She gives you turn meter, protects your team with the block debuffs, and cleanses off your teammates so that they can do stuff. She does come in with a increased defense and a big shield on your whole team. Very good because she places the increased defense first, and then you get the big shield afterwards, which is dependent on the size of your defense. And then her A1 is an AoE attack, bringing in a little bit of a provoke. Her passive also very good. She increases her defense passively, and she has an active effect here on a 5-turn cooldown that prevents the death of your ally with the highest crit damage, giving them an instant turn also. Sometimes you forget about this, and then this ability just completely wipes you out. But yeah, targeted prevention of death is very nice. Overall, very, very strong champion. And then lastly, for the non-void champions on day 1, we have from the dwarf faction here, Underpriest Brogni. Now, Underpriest Brogni, at the time was considered one of the hardest fusions of all time. Had a really weird kind of hybrid style fusion. Also was bringing, I think, like a 4-day training event or a 5-day training event, like almost one of its kind back in the day. But it was actually super difficult to complete. Crazy champion for those Infinity Shield teams back in the day and all that. But nowadays, less talked about, but kind of showing up a little bit in live arena as a counter for Marius. His passive allows this little bit of damage inflicted to kind of tick back and remove the Mercurial stacks from Marius, for example, and also the Reflect potentially can do a lot of damage to him. Block debuffs increase attack and shields on a 3-turn cooldown. You got a bit of a grow here, shield grow. It's not going to be enough to like power Titus teams or anything like that by himself, but it's not too bad. Also comes with a strip, so a little bit of accuracy is helpful. And HP burn A1 can help you against some bosses. Big thing about him is going to be his passive. Put him in a shield set so that he can heal your team, can reflect the damage. So many years later, and Brogni is still relevant. Now let's jump into the Void Champions, and this is where it gets really interesting, at least for myself, because this is one of those situations where I will be participating in a progressive event. So if you look at the Void Champions here, we'll start off with the brand new Argonite faction here, and we'll go into Tecteon. Tecteon Fisher Flash was one of the champions that I said I would basically go for if it was a progressive event. And the reason why is because this guy is beyond busted in live arena. There's kind of only 2 Void champions right now that I can kind of think that are above the rest, right? And it's going to be Tection and Solinar. Whichever progressive shows up first, I would probably go for it. But having these champions on progressive events was not enough to make me kind of gamble for them, because obviously it's a huge gamble. Legendaries from Void Shards is only a 0.5% chance. We don't get like, a lot of Void Shards. I think at an end game level, you're farming maybe like 30, 35, 40, somewhere around there per month, depending on the RNG. So you're not getting a ton of these Void Shards, right? Unless you're buying them. So you really got to pick your spots. And usually I only pull in 2x events, or if there's a very specific event that you can get value from, like in a, particular like fusion, for example, or maybe a progressive plus a boost, like a 2x boost, then I'll participate with Void Shards. But rarely will I ever participate in just a progressive event. Now, in this situation, I am going to participate, and I'm going to go for Tection here because, first of all, my Mercy is very close. I'm at 193 Void Shards since my last Void Legendary, so I'm right at the cusp of Mercy, which means I will get a Void Legendary relatively quickly. And to have it targeted at a champion as strong as Tection, I'm definitely going to take that gamble. Like I said, it's going to be about 15% chance at getting the champion of my choice, and Tection will be my progressive choice. So hopefully I can get lucky. 15% chance, you never know. Tection, amazing champion. He's got a double hit AoE A1 with a 35% chance to stun. Absolutely absurd A1, great at removing Mercurial. Also can stun you, which is totally crippling. And then he's got this A2, which is absolutely ridiculous. 3-turn cooldown, another AoE double hitter. Before attacking, places Shatter on himself, will ignore shields, strengthen, and increase defense. These are not the craziest buffs, but they're okay. They're going to allow some extra damage to go through. And then each hit will increase the cooldown of all enemy skills by 2 turns. Each hit. So you're looking at 4 turns here, right? And it's also a little bit of RNG, prevention, right? A little bit of insurance against RNG because it's on each hit. So technically, I assume you can get resisted on one hit and then not resisted on the other hit. But the majority of the time, if you have good accuracy, you're not going to get resisted on both hits. But yeah, 4-turn lockout here. And then you got this A3 ability, which is crazy because it gives you an extra turn, which means it's a perfect candidate for a 9-piece Mercurial set. Places Taunt on himself with the Poison Cloud. Also places a protected shield for 30% of his max HP on all allies for 2 turns, and then you get an extra turn. Effectively a 3-turn cooldown ability with 3-turn uptime. Poison Cloud, very, very strong buff. Basically, it's going to turn all hits against him into weak hits, which means effects from those abilities will not happen. And then his passive also gives him some added layer of protection. At the start of the round, he gets a Poison Cloud to start, which is very difficult to deal with because you can't break through this. So you either have to remove it without a hit. That's kind of the only way. You could steal it, I guess. But if you're going to hit him, it's going to be a weak hit. And if it has an effect attached, then the weak hit will not do anything. So the Poison Cloud, really, really strong. Decreases the damage this champion receives from crits by 50%. This also makes him incredibly hard to kill. Pair that up with his increasing max HP. He's just a really, really tanky champion. He's hard to kill. He can actually wipe your entire team out by himself just because of how hard to kill he is. And then his sweeping abilities with his CC abilities, yeah, very, very strong. He does suffer from pretty low base speed at 98, so it's kind of hard to build him super, super fast. But more likely than not, it's very hard to kill this guy, and he's going to get a turn. So I'll be gambling for him. And then up next, we have Galoot, Son of the Pact. He's going to be a Void Champion from the Orc factions. Not a bad champion here. Pretty cool passive. Every 10 debuffs this champion's team receives, not just himself. Activate Blood of the Pact. Blood of the Pact is going to be his A3 here on a 4-turn cooldown. It's a full team cleanse with a big heal, a shield, and a fortify. The shield and fortify will be protected if it activates from his passive. These are pretty good because this is a really strong ability. Brings your team back into the mix. Too bad it doesn't have like a team reset or something. That'd be crazy. But yeah, it's a really good ability. This ability, a little bit okay, not too crazy. It's an AoE stun and a decreased defense on a 3-turn cooldown. I mean, I guess it's pretty good. Sorry, I guess it's pretty good. He is a Void Affinity champion also. And then he has a block buff on his A1. Would say he's a pretty good champion for like a siege team, for example, but not a bad champion for a orc, I guess. Would be definitely helpful there. And then lastly, again, from the orc faction, we have Khan, the branch breaker. Khan here, he was a guaranteed champion, I believe, from a deck of fate, maybe like two winters ago, somewhere around there, or maybe last winter actually. No, I think 2 winters ago. But anyways, this guy's a damage dealer. His damage is going to be based off of shields here. He ignores shields. Um, and then he has a big hit here. Okay, sorry, it was his A2. He ignores a percentage of each target's defense equal to 50% of the difference between this champion's max HP and any shields on them. So effectively, from testing this guy out, the bigger the shield you have on Khan, the more damage he's going to do. So he really benefits from, obviously a bolster set, shield set kind of start teams. He can hit, and he does place a block revive on his A1, so he's a little bit of a threat. And he can self buff himself with shields and stuff and counterattacks. So he's okay, but I wouldn't say he's like particularly super strong or anything like that. I think for a Void champion is definitely lacking nowadays in 2026. Not really going to be somebody that I'm going to be really shooting for. So for me, it's going to be Tecteon. If you guys are pulling shards, I mean, Glorious Palace is going to be amazing if you guys get him. Holga, actually not too bad. He's also new. But yeah, Freya, Brogni, all of these guys are great. I would say Noldula is probably the weakest one. And then for the Void champions, definitely Tecteon is going to be absolutely insane. If you guys are pulling shards, I don't recommend pulling shards for progressive events. They're pretty much just pure gambles. But like I said, because I'm right next to Mercy, I'm going to take this gamble. It's only going to cost me about 15 20 void shards for this gamble, so or less. So I'm going to take that shot. All right, let's move on to day 2. So this is going to be day 2, same kind of setup here. We do have progressive event happening. Again, another new champion here. We have Zhao Glaze Fangwall. Zhao Glaze Fangwall. I think he's going to be one of the brand new demon spawn. Yes, he is. This guy is a Chimera specialist. In my opinion, looks really cool. Look at this. It looks kind of like Venom's black ooze, right? Like oozing off of him. Looks pretty cool. But yeah, definitely a Chimera specialist. I think he's got an A1 here. Places True Fear on the A1. That's obviously perfect for Chimera, the Ram Head, and then also block actives, which is really interesting as well. Block actives is conditional if they have Leech, but he can place Leech himself, which is great. On a 3-turn cooldown, he double hit AoEs. His first hit's going to place Leech. His second hit's going to place Decrease Resistance. Both of these are going to be amazing for trials for Chimera. So far looking absolutely insane, right? And then obviously debuff heavy, which means perfect candidate for 9-piece Pharaoh for additional damage boost. 3-turn cooldown on his A3, places increased defense. Again, this is going to be trial, good for trials. Increased accuracy, good for trials. And reflect damage on the whole team. Again, good for trials. So he's placing debuffs, he's placing buffs. You can gear him in protection, you can gear him in Pharaoh. And then he's going to handle a lot of those trial conditions here. All reflect damage buffs on this champion and their allies reflect more damage, again, helping with trials. Whenever this champion is attacked, reflects 50% of that damage this champion receives back to the attacker, helping the trials. Heals the champion by 50% of any damage received from enemy skills while under reflect damage. A little bit of sustain there. He is defense based, so he's going to be a little bit harder to kill. 30% defense in all battle aura. Pretty good champion if you can make all of this stuff really work. He has a lot going on in his kit, but most of it is centered around Chimera, but could be a cool tool for some of you guys that are really into like building out high trial Chimera teams. Up next, we have Sidax, the King Killer. Sidax here. I did have a playtest video on this guy. Make sure you guys check him out. Really cool champion. He's really good. He's really good. No doubt about that. He's got an A1 decreased attack and a pain link, which is decent. Decreased attack, obviously going to be very good against single target bosses like Clan Boss and stuff like that. Chimera is A2 here. It's on a 3-turn cooldown. It's an AoE double hit. The first hit plays decreased defense, and then the second hit will place decreased speed. It's also a damage dealing ability based off of max HP. His max HP hit does not hit particularly hard in terms of multipliers, but you can obviously build that up. These debuffs, very good. Decrease defense and then decrease speed. It's an AoE attack. Yeah, it's an amazing ability, guys. Can be helpful in all areas of the game. And then his A3 here on a 3-turn cooldown. He does self-buff with increased defense, but it's going to be on your whole team. Also increase speed on your whole team, and then he plays ally protection on everybody. Amazing ability for protection. Increased defense and ally protection, obviously very, very strong, especially early on in the game. His passive decreases the amount of damage this champion receives by 10% for each ally under ally protection. So if you have five member team, it's going to be minus 50%. That's huge. Passive immune to pain link and reflect damage. Reflect damage could be interesting. Like, for example, we did test this against the Chimera Ram form, and then he didn't take any damage from the reflect, which is kind of interesting. Hard to make it really work. I don't think he does enough damage against Chimera to be really brought in as a damage dealer, but you can also bring him in as a support champion, and he can just help you out with some additional damage there. Coming in also with yeah, defense in all battles too. Good champ, good for progression and all that. After that, we have Baird the Broad. He is one of the newer champions here. I believe Sylvan Watchers. Where is he? Baird the Broad. Oh, here he is. Yeah, so one of the newer champions here. I think this is a pretty okay champion. He is defense based, so I guess day 2 is going to be all defense based champions. He has a 3-turn AoE provoke, which can be useful. Obviously, you can use this as the full uptime for the Hydra head. He also places Pain Link, and he also plays a counterattack on himself and the ally with the highest crit damage. I mean, you get quite a bit of value from this ability. It's on a 3-turn cooldown also. His A2 here on a 3-turn cooldown is a single target triple hit. First hit steals all buffs. Second hit, transfer all debuffs from this champion to the target. Third hit places debuff spread, taking all debuffs from the target and placing them on all enemies. This is kind of cool. Kind of protects you from certain situations where you might not get value from this ability. So, for example, if they have block debuffs, the first hit's going to steal that potentially, and then you can place all the debuffs from this champion. So, it's not too bad. I mean, it's kind of interesting, but it's going to be, you got a little bit of setup here. You need the right situation to get a huge value from this. His A1 will place continuous heal on himself and the ally with the lowest HP. His passive here heals all allies by 40% of any damage dealt to this champion. So something similar to like Vogoth and stuff like that. At the end of this champion's turn, places increased defense on this champion for 1 turn. So he's always going to get that up, which is pretty nice. Comes in with defense in all battle. A bit low on the base defense and a bit low, a bit average on the speed. Okay, I would say okay support. Nothing too crazy, but decent. Nothing too crazy bad, but nothing too crazy good. And then up next we have Pinthroy here from the Sacred Order. Pinthroy, where is he? Pinthroy. So Pinthroy, I mean, he's going to come in here with the 3-turn block buffs. It's an AoE attack. Also brings in heal reduction. Heal reduction obviously can be useful against the Grim Forest chest, against Amius. Also brings increased accuracy. Increased defense and shield also happens, and a big heal. A little bit of a support, but he's not going to bring too much more. Obviously, if you really need somebody with block buffs, he's going to be your guy on a 3-turn cooldown, so it's totally useful. But otherwise, he doesn't really bring enough, I think, in 2026. And then lastly, for the non-voids, we have from the Sylvan Watchers again, we have Glaciade of the Meltwater. Very good support champion here. He's like an offensive Duchess. That's the way I describe him. 4-turn cooldown, increase attack, perfect veil with the Termir boost. Gotta love the Termir boost here instead of the block debuffs from Duchess. A little bit different. Duchess offers a bit more protection, and Glaciade a little bit more offensive, like I said. Got the full team revive here on a 4-turn cooldown. It does bring increased accuracy and increased defense. He can use this ability when nobody is dead, which is great. So increased accuracy and increased defense comes out of him. Also increased attack and perfect veil. And his passive, allies under perfect veil will deal more damage. So there you go. Like I said, more offensively oriented, whereas Duchess gives you damage reduction. He's going to give you a damage boost. Same speed in all battles, 19% as Duchess. Even his base stats are very similar to Duchess. He's a little bit faster and a little bit less HP, I believe. So great champ. I would love to have this guy, but yeah, he's a really good champion, good kit. And that's going to be the non-voids. For the void champions now, there is going to be one new void champion here. And it's interesting because this new void champion is actually extremely powerful also. I did do a showcase on this guy, and it's interesting because I have the option to, go for his progressive as well, or Tecteon. In my opinion, Tecteon is still going to be better than Celindo, the Opal Guardian. This guy is still absolutely insane though. So just going over his kit, he is brand new, so don't worry if you guys haven't seen him yet. Make sure you guys check out the showcase on this guy. It's absolutely absurd. But his A1, when counterattacking, will repeat this attack. He has a 50% chance, 75% when fully booked, of stunning you. So it could be potentially a double hit, stun. Or 2-target hit stun, sorry. 75% chance is very, very good, especially on an A1. His A2 on a 3-turn cooldown is a single target hit before attacking, places increased defense on all allies and shatter on himself. Ignores 25% of the target's defense, as well as unkillable and block damage. These are the big buffs, big annoying buffs in the arena meta. He has a flat 25% ignore defense, ignores 50% of the target's defense instead if the target's under increased defense, decreased defense, strengthen, stun, fear, true fear. So he already placed a shatter on himself, so he comes in with 40% ignore defense, with the potential to go up to 65% ignore defense. This is on a 3-turn cooldown, single target ability. It's a big hit. This is a big hit. It also brings self buffs and actually team buffs because this increased defense is for the whole team. It's a big hit. Even without the upper limits of this ability with the ignore 50%, even just 25% is huge. So right out of the box is a big hit. It's on a 3-turn cooldown too. It seems like it's just supposed to be like a 4-turn cooldown ability, but it's a 3-turn ability. And then his A3 here, it's an AoE attack on a 4-turn cooldown. Place an extra hit against enemies under increased defense, decreased defense, strengthen, stun, fear, and true fear. Will ignore increased defense and strengthen. Increase damage each enemy receives by 5% for each buff and debuff on them. This is going to be hard to max out. You need 20 buffs and debuffs combined. It's a little bit hard to max out, but you get a little bit of a damage boost there. Plays unkillable on all allies and counterattack on all allies. Now, this is not protected, so it's a little bit easier to deal with, but still, placing unkillable on everyone, obviously very difficult to deal with. Just think about Theodosia when she revives everybody. This ability has a lot going on, right? You have damage scaling here from the extra hit ability. You have damage scaling from the buffs and debuffs. And then obviously you bring 2 crazy buffs for your entire team. The base multiplier on this ability is not crazy. So if you go single hit, if you go worst case scenario and you go single hit, this ability is not going to kill, not going to be a crazy AoE ability on a 4-turn cooldown, but if you go into the double hit, it gets ridiculous, right? Especially with everything else added on this ability, the extra damage scaling, all the crazy buffs on your entire team. So huge support ability here, and also potentially a big damage ability. And then of course his passive here, this champion is immune to decreased defense, so his damage will never drop. Because of that, fear, true fear, and stuns. Active ability activates this champion's agent of light skill whenever an enemy tries to place decreased defense, fear, true fear, stuns. So this is going to be interesting. It's like somebody like Odin, for example. It's a pretty big counter. Agent of light is the single target hit. And yeah, this is going to just absolutely delete somebody. And then you're going to get increased defense on your whole team. Also, if somebody tries to use those debuffs against Celindo. And then he comes in with a 33% ally in all battles. This is the bigger version, not the biggest version, but the bigger version. Base speed's a little bit on the low side, 98%, 98 speed, 1619 base defense is quite good. Like I said, make sure you guys check out the showcase on this guy. Absolutely absurd champion. Hits extremely, extremely hard. And then we have from the Ogrins, we have Grazur Irongut, very strong Void champion here, not this guy right here, very strong Void champion. He's got an A1 shield, AoE attack. He's got an A2 AoE max HP hit. This one increases duration of all buffs also. A bit of a heal, and then a 3-turn AoE provoke, increase resistance, increase defense. Very good passive here with the unkillable, placing on himself before fatal hit. And then he also heals your entire team by a percentage of the damage that he takes. Good champion overall. His stats are a little bit lacking in my opinion. Low base defense, low base HP, especially for a Void champion, expecting a little bit more. And then lastly, for the Void champions here on day 2, it's going to be Sifi, the Lost Bride. Sifi, still very good, has her own, kind of way of being very strong in certain spots. Obviously, block debuffs is going to be very good against somebody like Carnage, for example, that really relies on debuffs in the arena. 4-turn cooldown this ability, I think, it used to be a 3-turn cooldown. I complain about this every time, but I think it as a 3-turn cooldown ability, it's probably still, it's fine. Fine now, I guess. But back in the day, it was 3 turns. Now it's 4 turns. It makes it a little bit worse. Single target sleep, very powerful ability. Obviously, one of the strongest A1s. I would say pre-sheep or pre-wand, I think. And then the single target revive here, increased attack, increased crit rate, perfect revive for Rotos, 55% HP, of course, for Rotos. Full turn meter, also very important, so that you can go on the offensive right away. Passive heals each ally by 10% of their max HP at the start of their turn, and then it has a chance to remove freeze, fear, and true fear from everybody. And then, of course, the crazy synergy with Rotos, making him an unstoppable damage dealing machine that can't go through Mercurial. Hopefully that changes in the future because I love Rotos. But yeah, Sifi is still very good. She's a Void Affinity champion. Crazy base stats, 114 base speed, making her one of the fastest in the game. Still a very, very strong champion depending where you are in the game. All right, guys. So that's going to be it for these upcoming events happening tomorrow and Wednesday. Like I said, I'm super excited. I'm going to be pulling for Tection tomorrow. So make sure you guys drop on by and check out that video for that. If you guys are interested in any of the champions, make sure you guys check out the showcase champions that I've done in the past. For example, like Sidax, the King Killer, or Celindo, the Opal Guardian. These are very good champions. Otherwise, like I said, for these progressive events, they're pure gamble events, so definitely worthwhile just to hold on to your shards, save them for future events, and just, skip the next progressive events. Skip these shard events if you guys have nothing else going on for them. Don't just gamble for the sake of gambling, guys. At least that's what I would do. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching until the end. Appreciate you all. Let me know what you guys are planning to do in the comments below. Wish me luck on my progressive void pull tomorrow. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great day, and I'll see you guys in the next video.